Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamyam Dadati Svavadantika Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Adadamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavansya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sadhana Raghunathan Vinantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanthitamsha Nama Om Krishna Paraya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Namo Vishnupaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Namini Shri Vashabhani Devi Daitaya Kripade Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhurya Premadya Shri Rupanuga Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murte Dinatarini Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dvantaharini Namo Gaurashwaraya Sakshat Vairagya Murte Vipralamba Sambodhe Panambujayate Namah Namo Ati Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Vigrahanuga Varayate Gaurava Bhumishtam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannataya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Tuje Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayadam Swajo Pangor Mamanda Madhyapati Masarvasva Padambujo Radha Madana Mohanam Divya Drindaranya Kalpadhamala Srimad Ratnagra Simhasanastam Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Preshtali Sevyamano Smarami Srimad Sarasarambhi Vamshi Vata Tadastita Darshan Venu Smaray Gopi Gopinata Shri Smana Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusutre Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
I had attended one session in Mayapur related to astrology. So that's something that's going on in my mind. Samvaya Prabhu knows that well. There was a very interesting session in Mayapur. And also going Prabhu in our yatra, I think many of us were there. So he spoke on Daiva, the role of Daiva. I had a good discussion with him also after the class. So I just kind of combined these two things, and that's what we're going to speak today.
Who was the speaker there?
ILS, it was two Jayapataka Swami Saris. One was Radha Govinda Mataji, she's an astrologer. There was one more Prabhuji, he was an Italian foreign body. I really don't know. Seemed to be quite knowledgeable. Knew a lot. So they spoke there on this topic. So I'm just wondering, is there a begin from here or begin from there? I think I'll begin from going Prabhu's and then come to the Mayapur one. Because this is more application oriented, whereas that was theory. So we'll start with the theory and then we will go to the application. So here I would request several others to contribute as well, because I think many of those who were there, they are over here. So we begin with, Govind Prabhu, he spoke he described Gita as Adhyatma and as a Vyavahara Shastra. Adhyatma means spiritual text and Vyavahara means for this world, how to behave in this world. So he said that the Bhagavad Gita as it is, as written by Srila Prabhupada, mainly focuses on the Adhyatma principle. That means it focuses on the spiritual principles. That is the focus of the text. But however, he said that it can also be seen from the Vyavahara perspective, that is from behavior. So he essentially described that all of us have three kinds of duties in this world to do. There is Swarupa Dharma, Swadharma and Apad Dharma. So Swarupa Dharma means constitutional duty. Swadharma means our conditional duties. And Apad Dharma means emergency duty. So he nicely described that in Kali Yuga, most of the time are working on Apad Dharma platform only. Because it's all emergency, because we have had particular type of education, some kind of background we have had, because of which we have to do certain things certain way to earn our bread, butter, everything. Even if we realize our Swadharma, we are kind of stuck. Because it's coming from the mind.
बस ज़्यादा है. बस.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
किसी और इक्विपमेंट एसी एसी भी चल रहा है.
इसका पंप चालू है शायद.
हाँ.
Quite sensitive to the sound. Yeah, that pump was on actually. Pumping the water. Yeah. So he described that. In Kali Yuga, most of us are operating on the Apad Dharma platform most of the time. It's all emergency. So even when we know what our Swarupa is, Swadharma is, where is our inclination, we are hardly able to do anything about it. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Like all of us, we realize that. Just pass it to him. Whoever wants to take. Yeah. So he said that most of the time we are working on the Apad Dharma, emergency itself. Of course, Balaram Mithra asked a good question. He asked about this, whether we should actually give up the so-called Apad Dharma and try to do something with Swadharma. He gave a very practical reply. He said that no. He said we have to maintain our bodies. So many times we may have a particular kind of education, and that would mean that we have certain skill sets. So though it may not be in line with our Swadharma, it's most natural to do that in the world to earn money. But he said simultaneously it's good to see if at least later in life one can do something in the realm of one's Swadharma. So that one does not have to, otherwise he said if the mind is not satisfied, one may have to actually come back to the world to try that again. And that was a very interesting point I thought he made. He said that
Swadharma is not born of a desire, so why should you come back to fulfill it?
No. Swadharma is your conditional duty, which is based on the nature of your subtle body, right? So if you have a particular desire, let's say for example you have a strong desire to be a teacher, a good teacher kind of stuff, but you are unable to be because of some reasons, you are whatever, something else you are a banking finance executive. But there is always this lingering thought in the subtle system that this is what I want to do with my mind and body, but you are unable to do it. So there is a frustration, and that leads to the point that one will have to come again to try that out. You understood? So he said in that perspective, he said it will be good because he was quoting this Bhagavad Gita verse, Nigraha Karishyati, that you cannot artificially control your own desires of what you want to do. This is the mind will rebel, and one generally has to come back to the world to try whether one's swabhava can work. You understood? So he said that. So that's why he said it makes sense to try one's swadharma out. So I thought that was very nicely said. Anyway, moving ahead to many other things that he spoke in this context. His focus was this verse from the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna explains that there are 5 causes for any result in this world, right? And among the 5, they can be broadly categorized as Purusha, Prakriti, and Daiva, as 3 prominent principles which are in work to decide the result. So Purusha as in one's own endeavor and one's own desire to do something. Prakriti means the material nature and the association and the facilitation. And Daiva is providence. Daiva here, as I understood, is not just limited, though of course the Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, it speaks about Daiva as the super soul, but there also the super soul is giving results as per your previous karma. So basically it is that providence, what we call, that's actually the role of Daiva here. That means whatever we have only done in the past, he is giving us, he is ensuring that we have such kind of opportunities or situations in life this time. Correct? So it's not that he is doing it arbitrarily. He is doing it as per our own previous acts. But he is ensuring that our results are delivered to us in a particular way. So that's actually Daiva. He very nicely described that in these 3 items, Purusha, Prakriti and Daiva, we have to understand that all 3 of them are at work. Because even we see in the Bhagavad Gita 5th chapter also, Krishna constantly is trying to remind Arjuna that, like for example, in some places Krishna says that the living entity does nothing, everything is done by material nature. Ahankara vihudatma kartaha miti manyate, only according because of false ego person thinks he is the doer. There he apparently gives all the credit to Prakriti. Correct? But then again we know, holistically when we understand Bhagavad Gita, one can neither give all the blame or credit for whatever is happening to Prakriti, to Purusha or Daiva. We have to connect all these things. That means our own providence, which is awarded by the Super Soul, our own desires in this life, and the Prakriti, the kind of environment that we are growing up in, or we are situated in. That's actually Prakriti. Correct? So even the best person, if you are in the wrong environment, yeah, we all know that if we are in a very, like many times you see in western cities, and like I remember when I went to Malaysia some years ago, the devotee was driving me through the prominent areas of Malaysia. And as he was driving in one area, he said, "This is the red light area of Kuala Lumpur." He said, I said, "Why did you get here?" He said, "No, I thought I'll show you this also." He was driving and he was showing me, these are the places where, all these people are waiting for their customers and so on and so forth. So the point is that Prakriti does play a role. If somebody goes and sits in that kind of Prakriti or environment, one gets affected by that situation. Even though your Purushatva is very strong, and even though your Deva was not to be kind of thought on in that situation. So the environment does create an impact. So all these 3 things have to be taken into account. And that was what Govind Prabhu got out in that discussion. So I'll just focus on that aspect before I go to the Mayapur stuff that I heard in similar context. So he started by talking from the Mahabharata how when Dhritarashtra, he was always lamenting. Dhritarashtra as a personality was always lamenting that, oh, what to do, all this happened even though I did not want it to happen. As if he was feeling bad that things are happening the way it was, but at the same time, he generally never wanted to take responsibility for it. So he quoted one section in the Mahabharata where Sanjaya once comes and fires him left and right, saying that though you are lamenting, actually you are only the cause of all this problem. Because you yourself decided that not to give the kingdom back to the Pandavas, or you created situations in such a way that the war has now become inevitable and the death of your sons are shortly going to take place. So he put the blame solidly on him. Then it is said Vidura came up and he said that no, it's not like that. Somehow the world itself has become this way, the Dwapar Yuga is over, Kali Yuga is coming, the situation, the world situation has changed in this way that this war was inevitable and this calamity had to happen. Basically, he put the entire blame on Prakriti. And then Vyasa comes and he says that no, actually this is all according to providence, because Vyasa says that I was the heavenly planets once where I was in a discussion with the demigods, where some demigods mentioned that we need to quickly go down and we need to send Duryodhan to the world as an agent of Kali, so that he will do whatever he does, because of which the war will become inevitable, and then in this way the burden of the earth will be reduced. So Vyasa said, don't worry, it is all the arrangement of the Devatas. So basically he was putting the entire blame on the Deva providence. And it is said Dhritarashtra liked Vyasa's point, because he himself never wanted to take that responsibility, that I only caused all this to happen. So he said that yes, this is very nice, this is very comforting to me. So in this way he said that the Mahabharata presents all these three aspects of Purusha, Prakriti and Deva.
But they said these arguments in exclusivity of the others.
Yeah, they were presenting different facets of the reality.
No, when Vyasa said it's Daiva, he said it's not Prakriti or Purusha.
It's not like that. It is just that he is focusing on one principle. See, many times, we may just focus on one principle. We may focus on one principle. It happens all the time. Like, we may say, okay, the program was a failure, people did not come because there was a traffic jam. Perhaps that's just one way of looking at it. Maybe there was some other reason as well. Maybe that's also a reason. It's not the only reason. So when we see here or when we read that each of them spoke one point, it is not in a very binary way that only this, others are all wrong. It's all, everything is correct. Everything is true. So that's why we have to see, that's why we have to read the text. That all these things are simultaneously true. Then he also spoke that how, so he said that similarly Prakriti is also important, though Purusha and Deva, he gave a very kind of very interesting anecdote of Srila Prabhupada, where he said Srila Prabhupada on a morning walk in some cold region, cold country, there was one brahmachari who had come without a kurta. So Prabhupada asked him, you must be feeling very cold. It's quite cold, but you have not worn anything on top. He said, no Prabhupada, we are not this body. He kind of said some statement like that. So Prabhupada replied, it seems that maybe you are eating chicken and because of which your body is warm. So the basic point which was illustrated here is that you cannot violate Prakriti even if you are a devotee. Prakriti is Prakriti and you have to obey the laws of Prakriti. That's the point really being made here. That even if you are a devotee and it is cold and you know that you are not the body, but still you have to wear warm clothes. That means Purusha, Prakriti, Deva. None of these things can be ignored independently. That is the point here. So anyway, going ahead, one of the main reasons I thought why he raised this whole discussion, there were only two principles which we will try to talk on. The one thing that he said is that there are several authors in the modern world who write about scriptures, who write about Mahabharata, Ramayana, etc. But they prominently focus only on the Purusha or the Prakriti aspect. But they do not touch Deva at all. That means they talk about Purusha and Prakriti, but they do not touch Deva. Anyone remembers which example he gave? Some of you were there. He gave some very good examples for this.
Shiva trilogy?
No. He gave some examples. I am talking about going through this talk. Spoken.
Rose.
The rose. He was talking about Draupadi's marriage. He said that when many authors they write about Mahabharata, the marriage of Draupadi with the 5 Pandavas, they say that how come 5 of them could marry this one lady just on the word of their mother? Because Kunti said divided. Is it so important that she should be divided like this among the 5 brothers? You understood? That means they just focus on the Prakriti, the situation that happened at that time and the Purushatva that the Pandavas decided. So they come up with various concoctions, it seems. They say that, oh, this basically means that all of them are already attracted to her, and so many things they come up with. So he says the most important thing in the Mahabharata to understand Draupadi's marriage is the principle of Daiva. Because even before this event happens, where Kunti says divide it among all of you, Vyasa tells the Pandavas that in this way there is this lady Draupadi who in her past life has asked for five times husband, and Shiva has given her 5 benedictions. May you have a good husband, yes, 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 yes. So basically she is supposed to have 5 husbands in this life. So that is the Daiva principle. So the Mahabharata talks about the Daiva principle. In fact, it talks about it before Kunti's event only. But people don't see that in general. People feel that, even many times, I'm sure most of our discussions also, we've generally only heard about the Kunti's part. Kunti said that's why. But that was the external environment. The point is, because Daiva is in a particular fashion, the external world responds in a particular way. We generally see the external world responding in a particular way independent of that Daiva. But the right understanding is that all 3 things are there. There is your own role, there is the external world reacting in certain ways, and then there is the Daiva, the providence coming from our past lives.
So actually, because of Daiva, everything else falls in place. Daiva is the original root personality.
Yeah, so Daiva is there. So again, yeah, it is a very important factor. Yeah, all 3 are important, but Daiva
No,
is
other 2 are assisting in the fructification of Daiva. Because Shiva has...
I'll come to that. They have their very important role. I'll just come to that. Because generally, because even the question answers that we had with him, or when people hear this, the immediate perception is that perhaps Daiva is the only important thing. You cannot take that as well. So what is the role of Purusha? He very nicely explained as well. It's not that he does not have a role. He has a very important role. We'll come to that. Anyway, the point basically here is that among these 3 principles, all these 3 principles are playing a role. Though of course Deva's role is there certainly, but the other 2 are also there. The way the world is and your own independent desires to do something in certain ways. So he says that in the Mahabharata, Vyasadeva plays the role of Deva. Because every time Vyasa comes in the Mahabharata, he basically gives indications of what is going to happen. One thing very nicely he said. He said that astrology, the purpose of astrology is to give indication and not predictions. And I thought this was a very good comment because indication means it is indicating something. Prediction means in a more superlative, stronger term that something has to happen that way only. Because once you say like that, then your Purusha and the Prakriti has lost all role. They have become superfluous. They are just existing just for namesake. So he said astrology is not to give that prediction, but it is to give indication that this is how it is looking, this is how this time frame is looking, this is how this time period is looking in your life. It gives indications of various periods of your life. So how is Daiva to be accommodated? This I think he explained brilliantly. He said our role in our, the responsibility that each of us have in our life is whatever is the indication given by Daiva, don't oppose it. Don't oppose it. Flow with it. Flow with it. So what does this mean? It means many things. I had a lot of talk with him later as well. And also recently in Shamdela Roji's house I met one very nice devotee from Ujjain. So he had a lot of knowledge about this. So something like this, that just to give an example, let's say that someone's Daiva through the astrology, let's say. Now how Daiva can be indicated other than astrology, that also we will talk. Going through did mention on that. But suppose somebody's Daiva indicates that the best time for his marriage is between 23 to 26. Daiva indicates such things. If you see chart, it says 23 से 26 ये बेस्ट टाइम है इसके विवाह होने का. ये अगर टाइम छूट गया अगला 10 साल थोड़ा मुश्किल है, होगा नहीं, चांस बहुत कम हो जाते हैं, प्रोबेबिलिटी बहुत कम हो जाती है. फिर उसके बाद वापस एक हो जाते हैं, बाद में कभी 40 साल में आते हैं वापस. You understood? So there is in this way indications The goal of the Purusha is to see if the indication is very strong, flow with that indication. That means do it at that time. Because the indication is there. If you put your free will at that time, it would happen in the best possible way. Now you can put your free will and say that you will not do it at that time. And then there is a different consequence. So he explained this very nicely. He said that Vyasa in the Mahabharata, whenever he comes, he plays the role of Deva. So he said that when the Satyavati, when she calls Vyasa to impregnate Ambika Ambalika, so Vyasa comes from the jungle. And he actually tells Satyavati that, see, currently I am not in a correct state of body and everything. The queens will not appreciate this. So I also need some time to be more presentable. And also they need to do tapasya. If they want to really, have a union with me and etc., they need to do tapasya. So let's do it after a year. Satyavati says, no, we should do it immediately. Vyasa says, I don't think the consequence will not be good if we do it right now. So basically there is an indication given. अगर अभी करोगे कल अच्छा नहीं रहेगा. So when that indication is given by Deva, very opposite, the result is contradictory. That was the point that he made. I thought it was a very brilliant point with this example. So when she says no, whatever, abhi kar do. He said okay fine, but where are the consequences? Then we know that Dhritarashtra is born, Pandu is born, pale. All these things happen primarily because this rule was violated. This Deva indication was not taken seriously. So there was a lot of question answers. People asked, but Prabhuji, अगर व्यास ने तो ऐसा किया होता, धृतराष्ट्र नहीं आता, तो महाभारत ही नहीं होता. So he said that see, now what is happening is after the whole story is over, you are thinking.
So is it pre-decided by Deva also that she is going to decide like this?
No. See, that's what, that's where we make a mistake. Because when we do that, see, then we reduce the role of Purusha totally. See, it is like this, that part of the story you cannot see anything else. See, again, please remember, Mahabharata also as a scripture is to be learned in 3 ways. Adhyatmik, Adhibautik, Adhidevik. But Adhidevik way means what? Everything is a plan of Krishna, a drama arranged to teach us Bhagavad Gita. If you take that perspective in this story right now, you make a mess. So, let's not take that. That's the Adhidevik perspective. What perspective? वो यहाँ पर नहीं. Adhyatmik perspective is what? From a personal perspective, how do you learn? Adhibautik means how do you learn for society? So you can't mix up things. That is actually what this year spoken. I think in the Hampi Yatra he had spoken on this long back. That when we are presenting one truth from the scripture, when you bring in another version of the same scripture, that is rasabas. You can't do that. You have to leave that aside. So it is a fact. So two things. So now the Adhyatmic perspective, then the rest would not anyone. How Krishna would remove the burden of the word? Krishna will see. So only people will be there who will not follow the word. Why only make Satyavati the Ambika Ambalika the scapegoat?
Such 3 perspectives are applicable only to scriptures or to our lives also.
I think our life is our life is not a drama of the Lord, right? Unless someone wants to see it. Someone is very confident that he is playing a role. Anyone here who is very confidently feeling that the Lord has sent him or her over here to play a drama?
We may be very insignificant actors with some important people around.
No, I don't think so. The whole danger of taking such a perspective is that we shun all responsibility. That's never like. How can that be true? It doesn't make any sense. For us, the truth is that we are all conditioned souls tossing in the ocean of material existence, samsara, struggling hard to get with the 3 modes of material nature. We have to look at it accurately. Only when the Lord is personally there, some dramas like this happen. Otherwise, it does not. Even when not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there, so many times I have this question. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, everything was fast. Love of God, तुरंत. वो offend किया तो भी तुरंत. वो श्रीनिवास ठाकुर को किसी ने offend किया तुरंत leprosy हो गया उसको. गोपाल चक्रवर्ती. Immediately. Gopal Chakravarti, Maharaj describes that his nose and ears were like champak buds. And because he offended Haridas Thakur, everything melted immediately. Quick reaction. Everything was quick, super quick. It was a drama of the Lord is personally present, right? I was asking this question to one devotee, but nowadays you don't see that. Somebody is offending his jolly, he's being good. So That's because it's not the drama of the Lord. So material nature will act in its own way, slow and steady only. You will not see suddenly something magical. Right? So that's why neither we see that somebody very clearly immediately starts dancing and exhibits love of God's interest. Nor do we see anyone suddenly getting leprosy and so they are doing all kinds of things on the internet. Everybody is peaceful and happy only. Right? So we understand that what is happening now is not the plan of the Lord in that sense. We are not the dramatists in the drama party of Krishna. We are conditioned souls playing a role. Yeah, so this was the first point that he made. And when Daiva gives an indication and you reject it, the consequence is bad. Okay. The second example he gave 3 examples from Baba. The second example he gave was when Daiva says something and you are not happy with it. So you try to say that no, somehow I will try to avoid it. I mean, you accept the Deva, but still you say that no, I want to avoid it in some way. There is a problem. Correct? So he gave the example of Yudhishthir. When after the Rajasuya Yajna, Narad Muni comes and tells Yudhishthir that 13 years from now the Lord will use you as an instrument and destroy the entire Kshatriya race. On hearing this, Yudhishthir is alarmed. He says, he takes a vow that I will never disobey my superiors. The point here is that when Vyasa said it at that time, this was a very strong statement. It was not like Satyavati where there was an option. Here the Lord is going to use you as an instrument and destroy the Kshatriya race. So he somehow felt that he doesn't want to do that job. So that means when Deva has ordained you to play a particular role in some way, you have to take it. You cannot say that I will try something else which is better. Because we have our own calculation of what is good, what is bad. Right? So he was also telling many practical examples later when we were talking to him. He said that if a child, for example, is not good in something, let's say my child is not good in mathematics. That's it. So that's the Daiva of the child. That's what it is born with. So there is no use fighting with that and saying that no, somehow he has to become a big mathematician. No, nahi ho sakta. वो Daiva है उसका. He may be having some other thing, but that is his Daiva. He is born with that limitation. So Daiva means this also. So in fact, he was telling one very nice thing that it is not that astrology is the only science to predict Daiva. Though it's a very powerful science, but because practitioners of it are very few in general, he said that Daiva is also indicated by behavioral patterns in a child from his childhood. He said that that's why that was a very important role of the Guru in the Gurukul system, where he could see how a person is constantly behaving or responding in various situations. The teacher. And when the teacher would effectively see how a person is responding, behaving, what are his strengths, weaknesses very clearly, that is his Daiva. That's what he's born with. And then the teacher or the parent understands best where he can be engaged. Because seeing the Daiva, he can understand, okay, with this kind of Daiva, this will be the best place for him to go in. You understand? But the other approach is to fight against it. So, as a college teacher, several times I see this, that in our colleges, so many students are there who are totally unfit for engineering. Do you agree with that? You are a teacher, right, yourself? What do you see? So many utterly unfit. They should have done something else in life. They had other talents also, many times. Or they wanted to do something else. Their parents have forced, because I was head of department for 6 years. Several times I would have students coming and saying that I want to do some film shooting or something. And that is what I am doing as a hobby. And failing every semester, giving false result to parents, doing all kinds of things. And the parent after 4 years realizes that then he's coming and shouting at him. And then I tell him that this fellow is not interested, man. Why are you forcing me? So that time he tells, I told you 6 years back, I didn't want to do this. Because you forced me, I did this drama. मेरे सामने ये सब चलता रहता है. फिर उसको समझते हैं फादर को, ठीक है अभी करेंगे, पहले ही करना था, फिर क्या हुआ? So like this, there are not one actually, there are so many, right? Who are totally unfit in a particular domain. So the point is, when the Daiva has indicated already in life early how things are supposed to be through your patterns of behavior, etc., go with it. Go with it, flow with it. Surrender to that Daiva and see now how you will use your Purusha in the best possible way so that your Swadharma and your Swarup Dharma can be synchronized in the best possible way. I mean, this is another topic that you are speaking of. That our Swadharma is indicated through our conditioned mind and nature, which is through the behavior that we do in this world. And Swarup Dharma is in our constitutional position in connection with God. So,
in case of conflicting Daiva, my Daiva and someone else's Daiva, there is a conflict. Which should I flow with?
you should know your Daiva.
I have Daiva and my wife Daiva is there.
So that I come to that later. That's what we discussed in Mayapur.
Which one to flow with?
Mayapur में वही discussion हुआ हमारा. वो आता हूँ उसके ऊपर आता हूँ.
I think right.
We come to that. Mayapur में we discussed. That was the main topic of discussion in Mayapur. Where they spoke about husband, wife and marriage. And the same concept of Daiva. So I heard something here and I heard something there. And it so happened that almost all the things that I heard.
Maybe you can say the context should flow, but opposing flows which one to take? If you bring it here.
Yeah, I'll come to it. I just have some particular thought flow. I'll come to it, surely come to it. That is obviously part of the whole thing. Yeah. Then, so then he gave the, so Yudhishthira, because he felt, no, I don't want to do this Daiva. I don't want to be the instrument like this. So he decided something. But incidentally what happened is what he decided, that accelerated the Daiva. Because the Daiva has to happen. If the Daiva is very strong, oh, what is you understood? It is not that will not happen. That will happen. The environment will become such that with very less Purushatva you will achieve it.
Yeah, I understand.
It just has to happen that way. Right? So that's the point really.
Doing something according to the other things happen very fast.
Very fast it happens. And if you fight it also, it happens only.
Yeah.
In that sense. If the Daiva is so strong, that's the point he's making here. He said, because he decided I will obey my superiors, and that actually accelerated. Dhritarashtra took advantage and he let some gamble with my son. With robbery, strip, all that stuff. Then he finally gave the good example. He said that, he gave another example. This was when I was talking to him personally. He said that there is one police officer in Mumbai who happens to be his friend. I mean, not friend as in, he comes to the temple, Chowpatty temple, Samagre or something. So it seems when this fellow was a child, he had gone to his parents had taken his case to an astrologer. And astrologer told his parents, it seems that in this fellow's chart there is lot of bloodshed and murder. Take care, he may become a gangster. His father, the astrologer told his parents. His parents were very worried, it seems. Later this fellow became a police officer, encounter specialist and killed 180 criminals. Shot dead. So the point is that Daiva had to come true. That Daiva was there. But still his Purushatva is there, if you say carefully. Because he could have become a gangster. He chose to become a police officer. He chose to become a police. He could have become a gangster by wrong Prakriti and wrong Purushatva. It's not that he had to do that in the noble possible way.
They will not say it in a very neutral perspective. It will say bloodshed in a positive way or in a negative way.
It's his prediction.
Yeah, but still.
That is also true. Yes. You can tell actually.
Either of the things is good enough.
No, but see the point, that's what. We cannot underestimate your own tendency in that. See, because one thing he told that especially in the context of spiritual life, he said that Daiva, he said, does not play, Daiva does not indicate how much spirituality he can do. You understood? He said that because spirituality is your constitutional duty, it is your soul, it's not a sadharma. So every soul has a right at any point of time to do Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, how Daiva indicates is, Daiva indicates, because yesterday when I was sitting with this devotee, he was saying that the astrology charts indicate someone will be good at controlling his senses, someone will not be good, somebody will be more attached to money, wealth, or somebody will be attached to a woman. These kind of things are shown in your Deva. You understood? So from that you make an understanding that okay, if someone is not going to be too attached to wealth or he is going to be more virakta in general, and if at that point he actually takes to Krishna consciousness, then his spiritual growth is kind of accelerated. But still, from a different perspective, if you actually see, Krishna consciousness is to kya pratikata. That means even in the worst situation where one has the worst kind of conditioning, one attached to woman, one attached to wealth, everything is there, still he can practice Krishna consciousness. He will struggle. Struggle will be there. Deva doesn't say that you will not struggle, but you can practice it. So in that way, I thought you can actually synchronize both these principles. That on one hand, we may say that Deva does not indicate whether or no you can practice. That means you can practice spirituality irrespective of your Deva. At the same time, Deva says many things about your Swabhava, which gives us an indication how easy it would be for you to take up if you would choose to do so. Correct? Because all of us choose to take to Krishna consciousness, but we all see that it is not that all of us are flowing with the same velocity. Somebody's Krishna consciousness is going very slowly, someone is going fast, because certain the friction caused by material nature is very less for somebody, and it is too much for someone. But independent of that fact, he has that right to practice spirituality, and ultimately we know that Krishna is pleased with your endeavor. That even if somebody has an extreme bad karma, to be very attached to woman, wealth, and this and that, and too much conditioning from past life, all this stuff is there. But still, if he is practicing Krishna conscious determination, externally he may not make too much progress. But our philosophy is what Krishna sees your sincerity in the words. So that we have to accept. So that's how I think we have to really do this. Because yesterday when I was sitting with this devotee, with my children's chart and everything, so he was telling many things that, for example, who has the ability to control the senses more, who has less, so many things. But at the end of the day, I felt that these are all basically indicating how material nature is going to respond. How material nature is going to respond based on what we have all done in our past. But you can continue to struggle to gain your Krishna consciousness if you want to. Am I right? I mean, what was your understanding? Because you also spoke a lot.
One point that Rohit Guru said to the brahmachari's questions that one can practice Krishna consciousness without the need of Dev. So Dev does not interfere in practicing Krishna consciousness, but because the varnas and ashramas are actually
sannyas, but that is it.
and even brahmachari.
Yeah.
So being a brahmachari, so it needs actually Dev to be brahmachari.
Correct.
Like that.
Yeah. So this point he made it very clear that sannyas is actually not spiritual, it is material. So let's be very clear about it. Sannyas is actually according to your swabhava. You understood? So when it comes to swabhava, you cannot violate Deva that time. Deva ka role hai. So sannyas yoga has to be seen. You understood? So he said the traditional way in which in every sampradaya sannyas is given to anyone is by seeing the astrology. तुमको संन्यास योग होना चाहिए. That virakti has to be there in your chart. वो विरक्ति के कारण तुमने become मायावादी सन्यासी. That is your choice. लेकिन तुमको सन्यास बन सकते हो क्या वो देखना पड़ेगा. That is material. So this distinction he made very nicely. He said that yoga has to be there.
You practice.
Otherwise, yeah, you can practice bhakti as a grihastha. Who told you that you have to become sannyasi?
In ashram, that is
Yeah.
bhakti is.
Yeah, the point is when material nature imposes something very strongly, and if you try to oppose it, saying that no, I will do something else, then ultimately material nature will be material nature only. And it will, for a long period of time, very different. I thought that was very valid. Yeah, he seems to have been interested. Yeah.
You were telling that Devas cannot predict about spirituality much.
No, I predict as in, yeah.
Only one, so there I had a doubt because, once in Govardhan had come to Pune. So once he was telling some devotee, he saw his chart and he said that in 20 years you become liberated. Something like that he mentioned. So there when I heard that point, when he was telling that devotee, then becoming liberated means that by his practice of spirituality he will become liberated. Then how?
Yeah, no, I also had this doubt or whatever. But when I spoke to this devotee as well, it got clarified in many ways. The point is that it will say that okay, at the age of 50, 56, due to certain positions of your stars, there is a lot of virakti, detachment that you experience in life. You understood? These things are indicated in Deva. So, please remember, such things happen even in the life of those who are not devotees, practicing Krishna consciousness or any form of yoga system. There are people who suddenly become very detached and neutral in general. मतलब life से तंग आके अपना, you understand what I'm saying? There are people like that in the world in general as well. I mean, they may be practicing God consciousness at some level. How we understand is that yes, your charts indicate at this point of time certain situations in your life will be such that you just lose interest in, Dhanam Janam Sundarim kind of stuff. But at that time still you have to practice Krishna consciousness if you want. Correct? It is not, there is no such Deva indicated that okay, at the age of 50 you will get liberated, at the age of 60 you will go to Vaikuntha, at 70 you will go to Golok Vrindavan. फिर तो कुछ भी नहीं करना है, बंद करके हम लोग जाके मूवी देख सकते हैं संडे शाम को। यहाँ पर आगे बैठे City Pride या अच्छे INOX good multiplexes are there, none of us have ever been there. So many years में माला घुमा रहे So you might as well go there. So the point is very clear, it's not like that. So that is why it is so important. See, generally our nature is to take extremes. The most difficult thing in the world is to be balanced. Extremes as in either we say everything is in my hand, where we say that, sometimes you go, okay, so what if I have a lot of now suppose what I told you, if I tell in the voice or in front of a GSNS crowd, they would say that, okay, so what, even if, if I surrender to Krishna and if I genuinely, even if I had so much conditioning and such a prakriti of kind of being attracted to women, would Krishna not supersede that? And then you get lost in that debate actually, it never ends. You understood? So sometimes we give too much emphasis on Purusha. Or then we say that no, everything Deva only chart mein dekho main kab bhakt banoge. So these both are extremes. So we have to be very clear. That's the whole purpose of this discussion is this. That you cannot ignore anyone. The moment we start ignoring any one of these three items, we are losing our balance. Our own endeavor, the situations and circumstances that are around us, and our providence. We got to get them together. All the time. Right?
Prakriti means what exactly?
Yeah, so Prakriti basically means the environment in terms of the association and the people. Take simple example in Draupadi's case. Kunti, what she said, that was the response of Prakriti actually. Right? Kunti said, divided among all faith. Circumstance happened like that. अब समझ गए ना? मैं बिजनेस में पैसा डालता हूँ उस टाइम पे जब एकदम business is, that particular business is crashing down. Are you understanding? Till now I was not doing that. I did never put money in stock market. I put it when it was at lifetime peak. And when it crashed, I removed it. That is Prakriti. Prakriti is happening in a way. At that time you do your Purushatva. So it doesn't work. Whatever. So Prakriti means the material nature and the people. Prakriti means the whole material world actually, other than us. The way it responds to us. Various opportunities that come, various calamities that come, various people say various things, all that is Prakriti around us. Right? Makes sense? Yes, Bhakti doesn't depend on anything. So that means even if one is the most fallen and one has terrible samskaras, one can work very hard and one can petition Krishna in that fallen condition. That's Bhakti. But that does not mean that he is going to come out of that fallen situation immediately. उसको time लगेगा, उसका प्रकृति वैसा है, understood? Yeah, how about this Sopasho to Gariya? He is born in the family of dog eaters, perhaps eating a dog as well. But then in that family, in that circumstance, when he practices, Krishna is pleased. In that situation.
Bhakti is not dependent, but the struggle is dependent.
The struggle is independent. Struggle is your Purushatva.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that struggle depends on how the Prakriti is, and that's depending on your Deva.
Bhakti is not dependent on Prakriti, but
Yeah.
the struggle is dependent. So the more conditioned I am,
You have to struggle more. In that sense, it is.
Yes.
But it is not in the sense that it's up to our own free will how much we want to struggle.
Yeah.
In fact.
No, if you
But
wish,
despite our struggles, you know, sometimes the gadi of your bhakti will be going a little slowly because there's too much friction. But then you have to be patient with yourself and keep fighting. That's bhakti, actually. That's Krishna bhakti, right? That's what you understand.
Do we need to know Daiva?
Huh?
Do we need to know Daiva?
Yeah, do we need to know Daiva? Okay, I'll come to that. I'll just. Okay. In short, the answer is yes. We need to see in some ways.
We have to answer how many ways we can know
Yeah.
Daiva.
Yeah, please.
So,
I'll come to your question more.
so there is one prediction we were discussing with this devotee. So he said that for one girl, he was saying that the girl has more interest in enjoyment, भोग वृत्ति. तो उसका विवाह जल्दी कर देना. जल्दी कर देंगे तो फायदा रहेगा, नहीं करेंगे तो समस्या होगी. एक लड़के का जैसे बताया उन्होंने कि 3 साल तक इसका कुछ अच्छा रिजल्ट दिखेगा नहीं आपको. तो अभी पेरेंट्स क्या है कि पेरेंट्स फाइट कर रहे हैं कि अरे कुछ रिजल्ट ही नहीं आ रहा है, कुछ रिजल्ट ही नहीं आ रहा है इसका. लेकिन उसमें लिखा हुआ है रियल में कि 3 साल तक कुछ सिग्निफिकेंट सामने दिखने वाला नहीं है. 3 साल के बाद ये बहुत ऊपर निकल जाएगा. उसके बाद ये भी दिख रहा है, उसके देह में है कि उसमें विरक्ति है, तो वो ब्रह्मचारी बनने के लिए बहुत अच्छे ढंग से ब्रह्मचारी बन जाएगा. तो वो बोले कि क्या गृहस्थ नहीं बनेगा. तो इन्होंने एस्ट्रोलॉजर को बोला आप क्या चाहते हैं, आप ब्रह्मचारी बनाना चाहते हैं गृहस्थ बनाना. तो वो बोले कि वो आपका फ्री विल आप कैसा यूज करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन उसका इंडिकेशन दिख रहा है, उसका उसमें विरक्ति है, तो वो ब्रह्मचारी बन सकता है और 3 से 4 साल में वो सिम्टम्स दिखने लग जाएंगे आपको. अब आप कैसा उसका निर्णय लेना चाहते हैं आपके ऊपर है. तो such kind of indications, you know, that gives a little help for making the decisions कि क्या करना चाहिए. But पूरे ढंग से वो डिसीजन नहीं रहता है, अपने ऊपर फ्री विल के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है कैसा लेना है.
Perfect. So actually see, yeah, nothing, yeah, I think that answers pretty much, right? It helps in that indication. Yeah.
Do we need to know Daiva only for major times in life, or every daily basis we need to?
Yeah, I understand that point. So obviously, see again, anything overdoing it also is a challenge. Generally, the whole purpose of astrology or understanding Daiva was only at major junctions of life. Marriage, education, raising children, you know, those kind of things where you need to see certain things too much, or if you see that, you know, something is constantly not happening the way it should despite your best effort, one could check Daiva and think maybe Daiva is the cause of what. So one has put everything, or one could take it directly as it was. That yes, it happened like that because of my Daiva, so I am okay with it. That's also fine. Yeah, certainly anything overdoing it becomes a challenge, because right now, you know, if one overdoes any domain, then again one is going off balance. But to some extent, in critical domains, it does help a lot. It's not that it does not, it helps phenomenally. Otherwise, we land in trouble actually. And then we understand, especially in marriage, and that's what we heard in Mayapur. I'll come to that very soon. How important it is. So, though all of us are married, but I mean, we are guiding so many people, and you know, we have our kids and so many other things. Yes, Ashutosh.
There is one book in Mayapur, you know, how to mess up the time.
Yeah, I know that. The author who spoke in Mayapur, I'm going to speak on that. I'm going to speak on that. I told that in the beginning. That the author of that book I met. She was only giving the session in Mayapur. So it's like you can mess up your life, but that does not mean that science is useless. That's what she herself says. I attended 2-3 talks of hers when I was in Mayapur. I'll come to that. Okay. Then, yeah, so I'll just go to the last point, which Govind Prabhu said before going to the Mayapur stuff. He said that the good example in Mahabharata where someone went with Daiva was the marriage of Draupadi. That very nicely he described actually, the marriage of Draupadi. He said, before the Pandavas went for the Swayamvar ceremony, Vyasa had already predicted the Daiva. By saying that, see, this lady, she is supposed to have 5 husbands. And he is talking to whom? To 5 men, for all bachelors, who are looking for a wife now. So it was pretty clear. Vyasa was indicating Daiva. But again, if you see, even though they knew that Daiva, they didn't make any preconceived conclusion that okay, so let's just 5 of us here, uska deva vaise, let's go and marry her. No, it was not like that. They went with the intention that Arjun will win her. And even when Arjun won her in the Swayamvara, no one said that immediately Yudhishthira didn't say, hey, uska deva aisa hai. Nahi. The Prakriti has not facilitated certain things. How can you do that just like that? There was no Purushatva, not that Draupadi is asking, I want to marry all of you or nothing. They knew the Deva, please remember, they knew the Deva before that. Correct? Then when the 5 of them come home, and Arjun tells, someone, I think Arjun says that, look mother, what kind of arms have we got today? At that time Kunti says, whatever it is, share it. Even at that time, Yudhishthira does not say that, look, the Deva of Vyas came true. Yudhishthira, so that the point is, in the world you behave very normally according to the Prakriti and Purusha only. Deva is a background thing that is happening. You understood? So, Yudhishthira does not say that, hey, Vyas ne to 2 din pehle bola tha na, dekho ho gaya, chalo come on, finish. He says that, no, see, our mother cannot be disobeyed. Our mother has never spoken like. So, mother has said means something is there in it. So, we have to obey that instruction. That instruction, because our mother, and Kunti also says, I have never said any lie in my life. I have never said anything that was false. So, and then Vyasa comes over there and tells Drupal, because Drupal is worried. Aisa kaisa ho sakta hai? Vyasa comes and tells Drupal also, see, your daughter had this background. Uska aisa last life mein aisa hua tha. She asked 5 husbands. In fact, Vyasa tells Drupal in private. That's how the Mahabharata describes. Usko akele leke bolta hai Vyasa. This is what has happened. So now this has to happen this way. Then Drupal is pacified. You understood? And Krishna also, so basically it is done in such a sensitive way if you read that whole thing. That means though the Deva was known, so that means what it means is, if somebody comes, no, come on, I mean, we go to some astrologer, they say something, even we are not very confident whether it will happen like that. Vyasa has said something, how much more confident a person should be. But still, they behave very normally only in the world, in terms of the Purusha and Prakriti. But whatever the Deva happened, going through his main point was, whatever Deva was there, in order to accomplish or satisfy that Deva, the Pandavas had to make a lot of sacrifice. It was not easy for them. It is not easy for 5 brothers like that to get married to one lady and stay with her. They had to make adjustments. They had to make rules and regulations. 1 year, 1 husband she will have. If anybody else comes, forest life for 12 years. And Arjun went to get weapons to fight against the thieves of the cows. But still he had to go to the forest for 12 years. He himself took it. He didn't say that I violated the rule for the sake of service, none of that stuff. Rule ke hisab se. The point is the Pandavas had to make real sacrifices in order to accommodate that Deva in their life, which they made. Correct? But at the same time, they behaved as normally as possible. So I think this is one good example that he was talking of, where you see Deva indicating something, and for you to accommodate that Deva is not easy. It's not easy like that. It's very difficult. But still they do it with great austerity and tapasya. This is the right consciousness in which we have to behave in this world. Because your Purusha and Prakriti is there only in this world. You have to work. You have to see how your environment is. That's unavoidable. Right? Make sense here? Yeah, any question? Quick.
We hear sometimes devotees say that Prabhupada was predicted that he will do this, and I heard from those who were saying that it is not true. That maybe it was predicted, but
It was a debate there as well.
It was a debate there also.
what is
There also had a debate. Whether it was very clear predicted that we will open 100 temples. Leela mentions it that way.
like Bhakti Jan Maharaj also, once he had come to Adivali, he said that Krishna had sent him.
I mean, see, we can see it in 2 ways. I think the way that generally we see pure devotees' lives is that, yeah, see, because if you see, that is a much higher plan of the Lord. So, but then again, those things cannot be extrapolated to you and me and everyone. You understood the point? And that will make a joke of the whole thing. So that's where the whole thing is, right? That in the life of some very special personalities whom perhaps the Lord has sent to this world, for them it's a different thing. That's again coming in the past tense of the Lord only, right? It's the drama of the Lord. Yeah, but then we cannot apply that standard to you and me. We will trouble otherwise. Yeah.
Like when we put this, so in what way we put?
I think, see, Prabhupada's Leelamrita, if you see, this is typically called as a hagiography. Hagiography means it's a worshipable biography. It's for disciples. It's for disciples to see their master in the way they should see. It is not to be used to teach people certain principles. That if you want to see whether you are going to open a temple in your life, show your Jyotish, and that's not the lesson that you can take from it. वो lesson लिया तो गया काम पे, वो नहीं है उसका purpose. It's a hagiography, it's a worshipable way of looking at your master. It is not a way of looking at your master to learn how you behave, means how you will take certain principles or decisions in it. It's not that. You can't do that. You make a mess out of it. Right? Makes sense?
So generally we take it as like special person.
Yes. So I already told that in the beginning of the talk that the Lord and His close associates, the Lord is playing a drama in their life. That is the Adidevic way of seeing it. But that's not applicable to anyone else. At least not applicable to me, I can say. So we all have to look whether we are part of the drama of the Lord or something. If we are not, then we have to behave like ordinary conditioned souls according to the program laid out by the Lord. Yeah?
So that what comes in the Leelamrita is told by Prabhupada himself. He was speaking.
I'm not sure of that. See, one thing is that, again, this is my view. I'm not sure how much you can take that. But the Leelamrita is not written in a way with references and with exact. You understand what I'm saying? Like, see, if you want to debate on some point in a very academic way, saying that, then how Leelamrita should have been, I tell you, it would have been like some academic book with cross references. Reference 1. इसने इसको बोला तभी हुआ था और this is the copy of the astrologer in 1986. Nothing like that. So we don't know. I mean, we'll have to ask Satsaram Maharaj, for example, whether he has any exact references or how that statement is. Yeah. But in any case, there is no learning principle in that. That's what I feel. As in, even if that is that way, for you and me, it's not that way because Prabhupada is a different category of souls than you and me. So basically, right? We cannot see from our horoscope whether we are going to preach or not. प्रचार लिखा ही नहीं मेरे क्यों तकलीफ दे रहे असिस्टेंट काउंसलर को और अटेंड करते हो लिखा ही नहीं कि आई preach or open test प्रॉपर का लिखा है इसलिए उन्होंने प्रचार किया. So you can't take that learning principle. So basically that's pointless. That's the point. Yeah.
ये जो ओपनिंग टेंपल वाली चीज है ना, ये चार्ट देख के कोई नहीं बता सकता है ऐसा कि 108 मंदिर खोलना है.
Yeah, that's all.
इतना बता सकते हैं कि इनका आध्यात्म में रुचि रहेगा, ये आध्यात्म में बहुत प्रगति करेंगे और ये आगे जाके इनके बहुत फॉलोअर्स बनेंगे और लोग इनको बहुत सम्मान देंगे और ये 7 समुद्र पार करके जाएंगे. ये चीजें बताया जा सकता है.
Or even temples, perhaps. I mean, I'm just thinking. I want to ask this probably only. Can you see temples also from that material perspective, as in somebody will open a lot of matas and do things like that? Because people do that. Are such things indicated? Because my understanding is that astrology mainly indicates your swabha and your material traits and those kind of things.
प्रभुपाद का चार्ट अगर मिलेगा तो पता लगेगा.
वो तो अवेलेबल है. क्यों नहीं अवेलेबल? टाइम सबको पता है. वो तो पब्लिश्ड है.
नहीं टाइम
लोकेशन का नाम है कैलकाटा. टाइम ना देखना पड़ेगा. रहेगा शायद. इतने बड़े लोगों का तो रहता ही है. Anyway. Okay.
They had done it.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically I like this one important thing that, I mean, I'm coming back to this point. He said that Deva is understood not just by astrology, he said also by Ayurveda. Now this is one science I think they'll have to look into it.
This was told by going through.
Yeah. Then by Ayurveda also, where Kapha, the Pitta combinations. And in fact, I have heard this also that there are many Ayurvedic practitioners who traditionally would use astrology also mix to give you medicines. So of course, that science is perhaps again dwindling nowadays, but वो विज्ञान था भारत में. He was mentioning this point that besides Jyotish Shastra, Ayurveda, and also patterns of life, which any child shows up from the beginning in terms of how he or she is. Like simple thing, when I was sitting with the astrologer, he was telling very interesting things. He was saying that, I mean honestly, he was a devotee astrologer. So I was showing him my son's charts and all. So he was saying several things about certain behavioral patterns without even seeing the boys, which I felt was pretty accurate. So the thing is, either you look at the chart to understand that, or you look at them, the way they are functioning in life to understand that. So for example, some child is very active, always needs engagement. You know, चुपने बैठता है ऐसा, वो करता रहता है, काम करते रहते हैं वो, बचपन से उसका इंडिकेशन रहता है. You understood? Some child is little bit, is slow in movement, he is not so quick in response. These kind of patterns are very clear from childhood, and that actually indicates how he is going to function later in life. Because that nature is not going to change. Just that he is going to move from childhood to adulthood. लेकिन वो तो नहीं बदलेगा.
You cannot change the basic nature.
You cannot change.
Slow है तो fast कर देगा.
That is exact the worst thing to do. That means you are fighting the ego. You can't do that. Who said only fast people succeed? Not like that. There are so many people who are very slow in movement, talk, everything. जिंदगी भर वैसे ही रहते हो लोग. बाबा ने बोला देते टाइम पे देखते ना कितने सारे प्रॉब्लम आ गए. बहुत ही slow बोलते हैं, every action of theirs is like that. You understand? But then that does not know. Well, that is a different thing. He may be speaking slowly, but I'm not talking in that sense. That generally because of Satvikta, many of them speak in general slowly or slowly. But in terms of no, that's not what the slow and fast I meant. Honestly.
Physical behavior.
In terms of response to situations, in terms of taking decisions, actions, projects.
Somehow we mix up these two things.
Yeah, we mix up these two things. It's not that a person is speaking fast. That just maybe वो सर जो बोल रहे हो उसको क्या क्या बोल देती बात करो. बात करो. So the point is, it can be understood in many ways. So he said, go with the indications of Deva rather than fighting it out. Follow your indication, put your energy there. And if that is done, then you will be very comfortable. It's not necessary. So in modern world, honestly, by and large, people give importance only to Purusha. And to some extent Prakriti also, because we accept our environment. We want good school, good college, this is environment ke liye, na? But then nobody looks at Daiva. And the traditional Indian generally look mainly at Daiva. And so we have that, there is a danger that when we overemphasize in Deva and we forget this and that danger. So we have to accommodate both. And when we accommodate both, we are fine. Now before I go to Mayapur stuff, any questions or comment?
This Gita Nagari essay with Prabhupada, where he mentions about education and how the education has to be Varna specific. He gives 4 things by which a Varna can be judged. One is astrology, one is the Guru can judge.
Yeah,
I covered the 2 things, so exactly what you are saying. So Daiva comes out. Guru is looking at the behavioral patterns, he can make out Daiva. Astrology knows the everything, the position of the standard, can make out Daiva. And there are 2 more things, 4 things by which Daiva can be known. Exactly what Prabhupada says there in that verse.
And this also, when I read about this, when I heard this concept, I also felt that how important it is really for us. May not be in this generation, but some generations, to come up with the right Gurukul kind of structure. It's very important because though perhaps it's not possible immediately or we are unsure how to do it, but still it's a fact that is very important because if you see in the modern education setup where a teacher changes so often and no one knows the child. I mean that's the typical general world tendency that no one knows the child. The child goes from standard to standard and अलग-अलग teacher रहते हैं वो जाते आते किसी को बच्चे को मालूम है parents को भी मालूम नहीं रहते.
This comes because they are completely overlooking Daiva. They say that Daiva समझने
Daiva समझने
why should I stay with the
This is a modern idea.
Why should I stay with the child?
And honestly, after a lot of thought processes also kind of made me very clear on this that parents, the main issue with parents is our attachment to our children. So we also cannot very clearly see the Daiva because we tend to be attached. We want our child to excel in something and we try to force Daiva in that way. So
that's why
when I was
when I
when I thought deeply or whatever, contemplated on this subject, I felt very strongly that even the parent actually is not the best person to function in that role.
Yeah.
To really teach and to see the child. He may do it. That's again that maybe some upper dharma or something, but that's not the normal way. That really doesn't that's not the process.
Yeah.
Because there's an attachment ना as a parent. हमको चाहिए कि हमारे बच्चे सक्सेस हो. अगर हमको दिखाई देगा कि मेरे बच्चे की देह में पैसा ही नहीं है, मतलब दिखाई नहीं है वो. We will get detached. We will get attached to that. अरे कैसे तो इसको आगे बनाना पड़ेगा रे, नहीं तो मेरे को प्रॉब्लम होगा. So that kind of a thing. But if there is a teacher is there, he can say, okay, no problem. Even though you will not have much money, but still you can do something in your life which is meaningful and contributory. You will not feel that okay, पैसा नहीं तो क्या हुआ? So what? So what if you didn't make too much money? That's not that's not the only parameter of success. But the parent tends to be attached, but the teacher, a consistent teacher who has the qualification, would tend to be detached. It is so important. No, seriously, it's so important. We may not be able to do it immediately, but there's no question that it is not important. That's my personal feeling strongly.
So, as you said, parent is not the best person to take up the role of a teacher. So I just put on Madhav Prabhu says parent is the second best teacher. The best teacher is the guru. And how do you find a guru? And the moment you find someone who is knowledgeable and is ready to take care of the child more than you. So that makes the guru the best possible teacher
Yes.
for the child. Second is the
100%.
parent. And the second that you said about we need a few generations. So Valgund Prabhu was once mentioning that how in the current context the varnas are very mixed up. So even though if you are observing as a guru who is detached, not attached as a parent, it's very difficult to come up with the exact behavioral patterns and map them to a particular varna. So it takes 2-3 generations. Then the behavioral patterns will point towards something. Now it will be many to one association or many to many association. So subsequently it will be 1 to 1 association. So it takes 3-4 generations for the purification to take place.
But there's no other choice.
No, there's nothing.
There's other choice.
No. You live with the
Otherwise, you do upper dharma. That's all.
Yeah.
Emergency dharma karo, push raho usme.
Emergency is normal.
Emergency is normal in present day.
Who is astrologer? They give predictions or
They give indications.
indications, and they many times if indications is not good, they give some what they call karan and nivaran. Means you go to Shivji temple and you seven times Monday. How should we should take it? Remedies.
I had asked this to Bhanu Maharaj once. The question that Bhanu Maharaj posed. So 2-3 things are there. First of all, astrologers they say wearing of certain jewels, which offset certain planets. There is a science behind it. Worship of certain devatas, or worship of certain Vishnu forms who correspond to that devata. You understand? That means you could either worship Shani or you could worship some particular form of Narayan. You understood? Who is actually the master of that specific demigod? That way also you could do it. So there are 3-4 ways actually. It's not one. If the Nivaran has to be done. Yeah, one should know that. One should know that. Nivaran has to do that.
So even if we know that they were not in favor, we should still keep trying, that ऐसे नहीं कि देवा नहीं है तो फिर then I should not.
There was not there, but there are also some Nivaran in some way. It's not complete.
I'm not talking about that sense. I'm saying that suppose the
Yeah,
deva says
you have to
that.
accept it. You have to accept it.
No, accept means then there is a tendency of not putting the effort there. And okay, anyway, they was indicating, so better I should not put so much effort.
No, not effort in the sense that you could just be careful about that particular aspect all your life as long as it's like it's going to rain, so you're going to get wet. Even if you take an umbrella, it's going to rain heavily, you're going to get wet only, right? But at least you can take umbrella and go. You will get wet.
So you should keep on putting your efforts and
Yeah, and you should not fight it out too much, saying that no, I will stop my this thing. Yeah, that's it. Want to say something?
तो एक निवारण के लिए है 3 चीज होती है, मंत्र, दान और यज्ञ. सो इसमें जो यज्ञ है वो सबसे फास्ट रिजल्ट देता है. Because the mantras and the ahuti goes, then it immediately fructifies, फलित हो जाता है वो immediately. तो उसका रिजल्ट सबसे फास्ट आता है. जो कुछ मंत्र रहते हैं उसमें भी जैसे प्रभु जी ने बताया, तो कुछ चीज ऐसी रहेगी जो देवताओं के लिए रहती है, कुछ चीज रहती है जो भगवान विष्णु और कृष्ण से संबंधित है. तो शास्त्रों में अलग अलग तरह की चीज दे रखी है, मतलब रेमेडीज भी बहुत सारी दे रखी है. जैसे किसी का कुछ ग्रह खराब है, किसी की शांति का नाम है, तो बहुत सारी रेमेडीज है. तो उसमें जो कृष्ण से रिलेटेड रेमेडीज है, भगवान विष्णु वराह ये सब रिलेटेड है, उस तरह की चीज पिक करके कार्य किया जा सकता है। तीसरी चीज है दान। तो दान एक्चुअली क्या है कि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, जो कि आजकल वी हैव एक्चुअली जस्ट गिवन इट अप। वी एक्चुअली whatever my take is like that the daan has to be done on regular basis. Because of not doing it, हम लोग हमारी आदत ही चली गई कि हम सिर्फ मंदिर में एक बार दे देते हैं, लेकिन there are many things which we give, like generally 50-100 rupees if we spend in a day and give proper things to the temple only, but in the form of, not in the form of money, but in the form of some goods, values, other things, then we can actually try to nullify the effect of various bad planets which are coming, and it works actually. It works very
Yeah, like for example, somebody chart maybe said that he has to actually give cloth in charity. See, nowadays what I mean, everything is in a modern way, na? So we just
Easy is like
Cash or kind. Cash or kind.
Yeah, but that's not how traditionally it was. That's why, see, these material systems also, when you substitute, you cannot do that.
Substitute in a non-vegetarian.
That's not obviously. Yeah.
I had asked a similar question,
like things have changed. We have started ACS, and previously there was a proper dance. So, but the answer given was that Prabhupada was very practical, and now if we decide like, okay, we will give done in this fashion, consistency will not be there. I am talking about myself. Right?
accept it. And also that's by and large, from a managerial perspective, that's correct also.
If the food does not work. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it also depends, even if you ask me the same question, if I am wearing the hat of a manager, I would answer the same way. It depends how we are looking at it. At the same time, these principles are also to be considered. Right? That's what we are talking about. Okay, fine. I go to the second part because I have to end in 10-15 minutes. Not take much time. So, this particular Mataji and this Prabhuji who were presenting this, her name was Sri Radha Govinda Mataji. She was presenting. She was mainly presenting from a marriage perspective, the importance of astrology. And she gave some very good insights which I just briefly want to share. She started by saying that journey of life to Krishna is like an ocean and marriage is like a good ship. He said a good ship helps you substantially. He said that it is very important to be married. Well, suppose all of us are married, so I am basically presenting it from the perspective of me guiding other people, not from our own marriage. It has already happened.
Analyzing hindsight.
Yeah, no need to analyze in hindsight also. जो हो गया अभी थोड़ी देखते हैं. Like after 16 years of marriage, you don't charge an astrologer to see match है क्या प्रभु जी बताओ. ये तो क्या करने वाले? तू पहले पूछ रहा था, 16 साल पहले क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा था, अभी क्यों पूछ रहा है? So that's useless. The marriage has happened. Anyway, so we are looking at from the future perspective. Right? I'm sure all of you are guiding so many people. So he said compatibility. He said compatibility is a state in which two things are able to exist together without problems or conflicts. When two people are able to exist together with minimum problems and conflicts, it means they're actually compatible. He said that so compatibility is very good. So, and they also say a lot of quotes of Prabhupada. Because see, Prabhupada quotes you can get for any point at these domains. If you want to say support astrology, बहुत सारे quotes लेंगे. Like Prabhupada says, we believe in astrology. Morning walk. Morning walk, December 29, 1973, Los Angeles. Prabhupada ने बोला. अरे देखो. So this is got it. And again, so but Prabhupada made it very clear. There's another quote saying that it's a difficult science and people don't understand it properly, and hence that is a challenge. But at the same time, Prabhupada said, we do accept it, certainly. So they describe astrology in a very nice way actually, especially in marriage. So I really feel very strongly that anybody who's going to get married, we are guiding those people, we need to tell them this. See, I tell you what I found, how I found this useful, from which practical perspective. It's like, when you go to a doctor and you don't know only anything of the background of the doctor. See, nowadays, in the information age, even when we go to a doctor or someone, an expert, we make sure that we also know certain things, right? Otherwise, if you don't know anything only, you have a disease, let us say, some typhoid, kuch hua, we also are responsible for ensuring that we get well, right? We don't put the whole thing on the doctor. That could happen in a very traditional setup where there was one doctor who was taking care of your family generation after generation. Nowadays it's not like that. You go to different. Then you should be knowledgeable also. So, from that perspective, I found it important that anybody who goes to an astrologer must know these background information. Otherwise, if you go to him and he will say something, because every astrologer has a different focus. That's what I understood from their talk. So they said compatibility between husband and wife, between a man and a woman is extremely important. Only then they can actually have compatible thought processes and they can be together. They just hammer it out. They said, this is a fact. You cannot say no to it. So they explained compatibility match in the form of a house. This was their own example, I believe. So they said that a house has a foundation, a house has the main structure, and the house has rooms, and the house has garden. So they said in this way astrology has all these things. Because we all know that in astrology, in compatibility, we look at what they call as 36 points. They said, but more, so the 36 points refers to the house, but not to the foundation. They said that the foundation is mandatory. It is not given points only. If the foundation is not there, so they said that is why they quoted many examples of some devotee who got married, 34 points out of 36, divorced in 10 months. Because of foundation, thigh needs. The foundational points pe there was no matching.
Compatibility for a few more factors.
Yeah, the basic factors. So they said there are 4 things they said. That is the foundation in astrology. Absence of basic karmic mismatch and presence of basic karmic harmony. This must be there. Karmic mismatch and karmic harmony. That means your karmas must be in harmony in some way, and that means there is negative and positive injunction. There should not be too much karmic mismatch. Somebody is karma very rich and somebody is poverty. इसका मतलब क्या है कि वो साथ में आएंगे नहीं, वो आएंगे तो टूट जाएंगे वो, because they will not be together. You understood? Karmic match is not there. The karmas have to match their thing. Because the karmas don't match, what it means is that you just cannot stay together. Because to stay together, everything is shared, right, in the home. Correct? For a husband-wife, it just becomes one unit actually. So there should be an absence of karmic mismatch and there should be a presence of karmic harmony. It is emphasized in both ways. They gave some technical words to it, Veda, Rashi, and so many things they told what is what. That of course I didn't go into it. But they said that any boy who goes to an astrologer or girl who goes should ask, ये सब basic ये है क्या हमारे इसमें? Building है लेकिन basic foundation है क्या? Foundation नहीं है तुम building में 36 foundation है तो गिर जाएगा वो. That's how it is. Then they said there should be absence of bad fortune. That means coming together, sometimes it would indicate that the bad fortune is going to, sometimes they say, 7 deaths are predicted if this marriage happens. Some things are there. Extreme bad fortune is there.
Because if the match
bad fortune. And presence of general welfare also should be there. That means they will be able to do something together. Again, positive. So there are 2 negatives and 2 positives. The negatives must be absent and the positives must be present. This is what they call as foundation. Karmic mismatch should be absent, bad fortune should be absent, general welfare should be present, karmic harmony should be present. When all is there, that means your foundation is proper. Like this astrologer whom I spoke to, he told me very nice things. He told me that in a husband-wife chart, sometimes in one person's chart there is a lot of Santana yoga. In another, that means his Santana yoga is very strong. Both of you. But in the wife's Santana yoga, there would be something like Santana nashta hone ka chance. So he was telling that if both people have Santana nashta hone ka chance, and they come together, then that becomes a reality. As in, they suffer repeated abortions or, you understood? Because there is Santana nashta in दोनों केस में. अगर दोनों केस में नहीं है तो fantastic. अगर एक में है, एक में नहीं है, to be is-headed offsets. Because if in one it is weak, there is a possibility of Santana nashta. But in the other partner, there is strong Santana yoga. He was giving such examples, saying that if it is there like that, and if they come together, that's considered a good match. Because what that basically means is, you understood, right? This fellow is bad, but this fellow is good. So they stay together. Assuming everything else is fine, things will go ahead. You get this point. So otherwise it just that the bad fortune gets multiplied. And when the bad fortune is multiplied, then no matter what you do, वो होता नहीं है. You understand? So from that perspective, they said that I thought that, I mean, it's a science actually. One may say that, see, it's like this, going to mention this very nicely. Sometimes, we, as devotees, we may feel that if I am a devotee, why should I rely on others? I'll just rely on Krishna. That's very good. That's fantastic. But we should be consistently happy in that. That's the point. You understood? That means we should not later question, मैंने इतना कृष्णा को surrender किया क्यों नहीं हुआ? वो material issue था वो, जो हुआ नहीं. You understood? There was a material loss in it. Don't expect Krishna to do that magic to repair those laws. So you had surrendered initially thinking that you are ready to accept any consequence or whatever. Take it and be happy in it. But generally the problem with neophyteness is that our decision changes. Sometimes we are extremely enthusiastic in devotional platforms, so we make some decisions saying that क्या होगा, भगवान को हम शरणागत हो जाएंगे, भगवान हमारा देख लेंगे. So after 10 years भगवान क्यों नहीं कुछ कर रहे? मतलब ये मेरा सुन नहीं रहे. मैं क्यों इतना भक्ति किया? You do not ask that right now. If you wanted that so strongly, Krishna has set up material laws. He made this. He again spoke of it so much. Krishna does not violate his own material laws in this world. Krishna does not, even when Krishna comes. That's the difference between Vrindavan and Dwarka or Kurukshetra. In Vrindavan, it's all magic because everything is happening out of love. Understood? Krishna is expanding, ऐसा कुछ हो रहा है. But in Hastinapur and another thing, everything is happening according to. Abhi when you dies in one place, Krishna says, what could I do? I could not. I am here in one place with Arjuna. मैं नहीं जा पाया वहाँ पर. Draupadi is asking Krishna in the forest, in the Manaparva it comes. And Draupadi meets Krishna is asking, Krishna, when I was in this road, why you didn't come to help me? Krishna said, what can I do? I was fighting with Chalva. I was able to immediately come. I mean, though he gives Ari, Draupadi's perspective of why you were not there, physically over there, to address them. I had to control the turmoil. Last में तुमने मदद की, थोड़ी मदद है. सब कुछ होने के बाद मारने के बाद आके थोड़ा, you understood, right? Draupadi expected even before you could have come. He said, no, what could I do? I was unfortunately caught up over there. So Krishna gave a very human answer, not some unrealistic answer. So that is the case. That's what is the case with our life also. Correct? You understood, right? We play both ways. That is the problem. We don't want to obey certain material laws, and we want to be transcendental and surrender to Krishna, which is very good. But if consistently we do that, that is good. But at some point our decision changes. We revert from transcendence back to mundane, and then we are wondering why Krishna is not. Okay, I'll end with 5 minutes now. So he said that even if you have 98% match in 36 qualities with the nakshatra mismatch, for example, nakshatra mismatch is also coming in the foundation. ये सब अगर है तो गड़बड़ है उसमें problem होगा. So he said this is why it's a science. So these people were explaining. Then they said the main structure is divided into then the 36 qualities there. But what they did, they gave the split of the 36 qualities. This of course we can get on internet also. But the point is certain things are more important than others. Like for example, physiological temperament. That means Rakshas Gan, Manushya Gan, Deva Gan. This has 8 points. Psychological temperament has 6 points. Productivity has 7 points. Companionship has 5 points. So this is 26. This is called main structure, 26 points. And then there are 4 rooms which have 10 points. Bedroom refers to your intimacy. How intimate you will be. That has 4 points. Bathroom, sense of duty. That has 2. Kitchen, sense of comfort, has 3. Living room, that means Varna. Whether you both are Brahman Varna, Kshatriya Varna, that has 1 point. 10. And then attraction is compared to a fountain. See, it's very interesting because sometimes people get married just based on attraction. But that is compared to a fountain. मतलब अगर है, that is all excess. Besides 36, अगर है तो अच्छा, अगर नहीं है तो चलो attraction नहीं क्या? उतना attractive नहीं है partner. So whether you will be attracted to each other, that is indicated. No, not on the face. It is indicated in your chart. Whether you both will be attracted to each other physically or not. Face पे क्या है? Face तो change होगा. Sorry, this was stupid. But still, whether you will be consistently attracted, despite the change of face, whether you will be attracted, it is indicated in your chart. And that is compared to a fountain. And similarly, he said affinity. That like general, that is compared to a tree. So these two things are considered optional. But he was saying that, there was one astrologer, one couple went to an astrologer, it seems. So, वो astrologer के लिए sex life was very important. Sex life is given 4 points, bedroom, given 4. वो नहीं जाता. बाकी बच्चे थे, लेकिन sex life नहीं था. तो ये बाहर का astrologer था. ये बोला यार, so basically what that means is that sex life component is not very strong. It is 0 out of 4. Basically that means that you will not be able to enjoy too much sex. वो चार्ट में दिखता है, वो नहीं होगा इन दोनों के सेक्स ज्यादा नहीं. बच्चे शायद होंगे कि वो एक आधा बार कैसे कुछ तो होगा, लेकिन not that they have grand sex life. So for some astrologers that is a very important parameter. So when they see this, ये तो लेना ही क्यों चाहिए सारी. But then that's fine for some other person. For another devotee maybe it's good, because looking at it from that perspective, that our regulative principles and all that.
That's why you said astrologers have different perspectives.
Yeah, so हर एक का मतलब उसको जो important है उसको emphasis देते हैं बोले. So you should know. So they only said that when you go to an astrologer, you should know all these things. You should ask questions. You should ask क्यों आप ना बोल रहे हो? कौन सा पैरामीटर में मेरे कम पड़ रहा है? वो पैरामीटर तुम्हारे लिए कितना important है? अगर वो बोल रहा है कि साथ मृत्यु होगी शायद फैमिली में, तो शायद बहुत important है. अगर वो बोल रहा है कि ऐसा कुछ बोल रहा है, attraction ज्यादा नहीं है, ये नहीं है, तो तुमको समझ लेना चाहिए भाई ठीक है. Okay, maybe it's not that big deal. Go ahead. That kind of a thing. So that way they said that even after all these things are over, that doesn't mean you'll have a great marriage. Training must be there. They said kitchen, for example, indicates comfort. They were saying like kitchen basically means even if your kitchen is 3 out of 3, you should know cooking. You should be trained in cooking. That means a girl would have in her astrology chart fantastic ability to cook. लेकिन उसके माँ ने उसको सिखाया ही नहीं, तो कुछ नहीं आएगा ना उसको. Training तो important है. That training may be required. So that means you cannot just go by the daiva. Your purusha in this life. That means the last 20 years how you lived, that also indicates. That also will decide on the success or failure. Correct? So again, when you overly rely on something, you create an issue. So that was their whole conclusion actually. I think I'll stop because we are kind of timed out, and I specifically took this topic because I wanted least time for this topic, and for the other one I wanted little more time actually. So I did not. Any quick comment before we just end? Maybe the prasadam can start, and especially those who are D row seat can start taking prasadam. D. अगर आपका D है तो आपको जल्दी जाना पड़ेगा, सीट नहीं मिलेगा. हम B में हैं. हाँ, गोविंद प्रो ने क्या बताया? झाड़ू वाला या गोविंद प्रो ने ऐसा बताया कि consider astrology में to be a groom. Groom is required in the house. Groom, astrology to be a groom. But don't equate groom to a channel. It is important, but it has its place. That means we use it in some way. That means don't run too much behind it, but at the same time it is not that it is not required. Astrology is. Right?
He said that you cannot start worshipping groom. You
Yeah.
keep it in the altar.
You
You cannot keep astrology in the center and start worshipping.
Yes.
Krishna is the center.
Krishna is the center.
But the groom is just to clean the altar.
Yeah. It is to understand your swabhava and align. See, the whole purpose of this whole thing is to align with, understand your swabhava and try to align with it as much as possible. Align yourself as much as possible so that there is minimum resistance. And then in your execution of Swarup Dharma, there is less incoherence. That's the point.
You did not answer the question. Daiva in opposite direction.
Yeah, so this has to be seen before the marriage.
Now it's
Not often. Yeah. Then once one is married, then one has to see how one sees it. But generally, all these liking, dislike, discuss the basic harmony, general welfare, things like that. In that, one has to see one's score, and then one will understand how it goes. Yeah.
There are some devotees who has given importance to Krishna consciousness and they got married.
Yeah.
Even though the kundali was not matching,
Yes.
it's only one was matching, and there were some problems, but still that marriage is nicely settled. So how to take this? I mean, you are saying that 33 gun are matching and still they are taking divorce, and one gun is matching on the basis of Krishna consciousness only.
So see, basically that's what.
इनका foundation strong होगा.
Yeah, first of all, maybe some. See, there are 2-3 things. First of all, maybe even if certain things are not working in their life, they're happy with that. See, the whole thing is it's. Yeah, we don't. See, actually, honestly, between a husband and wife, what is happening other than them, no one knows. That's a fact. Let me tell you honestly. No one knows. Only a husband and wife know how their relationship is going. बाकी किसी को बच्चों को मालूम नहीं रहता. Correct or no? We are all married. We know this for a fact. that only the husband wife know what is actually the dynamics between them. So that being the case, we cannot say anything. We cannot say that the science is wrong. All we can say is that even if somebody has severe challenges, they are ready to work with it. That's also a devotee platform where we say that okay, something is going wrong, still I just continue my devotional service, even though my relationship with my family, that affinity, those things, so many other things that should be part of the family are not happening. But still I'm happy chanting Hare Krishna. If you're happy, no problem. But the thing is, it's good to be consistently like that. Consistently. The general observation which we see is that people's mind changes over a period of years. Generally, initially somebody may be very enthusiastic in some way, but then later one feels that no, that was also important. But then, or one questions why Krishna is not doing certain things. When we start doing them, we are wrong, clearly. Correct. As long as they are accepting the consequences, absolutely no problem. Yeah?
एक्चुअली वो समझने का तरीका सही होना चाहिए. राम रावण के 28 गुण मिलते हैं.
हाँ,
तो एक्चुअली इसमें
राम और रावण के 28 गुण मिलते हैं.
तो क्या है कि उसको समझना जरूरी है कि वो सिर्फ गुण मिलान देखने से कुछ नहीं होगा और 3-4 फैक्टर्स रहते हैं. उसको डिटेल में जाके डिस्कस स्टडी करना पड़ता है, एनालिसिस करना पड़ता है, तब जाके उन्होंने बोला कि कैसे कल कि फाइनल निर्णय आपको लेना पड़ेगा. जैसे सिखा सकते हैं किसी को 8-10 पैरामीटर सिखा सकते हैं ये करने का, लेकिन फाइनल निर्णय उन्हीं को लेना पड़ेगा. आगे का प्रोग्रेस देखना पड़ता है कि आगे जाके कैसा होगा, इनके ग्रह के दोष कैसे है, 2 साल बाद क्या होगा, 4 साल बाद क्या होगा, 4 साल में क्या सड़क में आ जाएगा तो कैसी स्थिति होगी. तो ऑल दोस थिंग्स हैव टू सी.
Any other comment? Yeah.
Doesn't it cover the foundation?
No, it doesn't come. Foundation for continuous में.
36 is matching.
Yeah.
How do you have a problem? That example.
No, their foundation is.
Foundation is also one of the.
No, it is not. Foundation को point नहीं है. Foundation is a must.
So what is that?
तो अलग से लिखना पड़ेगा.
अलग से देखते हैं astrologer. Foundation बराबर है क्या? I told you ना basic karmic disharmony, harmony, product. 4 parameters बताए थे ना मैंने. Correct or no? Absence of bad fortune, so many things we spoke about.
That doesn't come in that.
That doesn't come in 36. It's the first thing. उसको point नहीं है, वो हमें चाहिए.
और आपने बोला कि maximum marks are given for 8 is given for
That physiological
compatibility.
I don't know.
No, it is nadi भी रहता है ना. Nadi is there. Nadi is there.
I don't know.
8 points are there for that.
Maybe that is that. रहेगा. I have only the English terms that I noted down, not the Sanskrit. They were putting it up on this section. Right? श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्तवृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद. I think most devotees have gone, so we need to